up, guys? Josh from JDM Right Hand Drive. Welcome to my channel. Today, you guys can see I've got the hood off on the R32 GTR because when I was testing the Carbotech brake pads yesterday, I initially thought I blew an intercooler piping, which I did not. When I turned the car off, I could hear the CHRA or center house rotating assembly. I could hear it rattling all around as the turbine was slowing down. And here's the shaft plate. So you can hear that as shaft is really loose in there. So what I'm going to do before I take the turbos out and send them back to Spectrum Motorsports to be rebuilt is we're going to test the oil inlet to the turbo, which to me, I mean, it looks like there's fresh oil there. So I've got that oil inlet banjo bolt taken off. So I want to test that banjo bolt with the engine started just briefly to see if oil's coming out. Alright, I'm just going to start it real quick for you guys to see, Doug. Tons of oil spilled everywhere.
I don't have friends. I got family.
A shit ton of oil was coming out. I just made a mess on the garage floor. So we know oil supply was not an issue. So guys, it is the next day and I am going to be taking the turbos out in today's video. So in doing the disassembly, if you guys can see in here, there's quite a bit of oil blow by. If we look at these items, even having the Nismo oil separator, like this was already all cleaned out with brake parts cleaner and there's oil in it, which there should not really be any oil. And I've even taken off this part of the hose and looked in here, there's oil. You can see in the bottom part of that turbine down there. On the inlet, there's oil pulled up in there. And I also wiped this out, there's oil in here. After I raced at Pacific Raceways, I came home and I checked the oil after doing the 5 quarter-mile runs. And the oil was a little bit lower than it should have been. It was at like 4.2 to 4.3 quarts. Which I know a little oil does burn with this engine, but it seemed a little lower than I thought it should be. So I think, yeah, my oil was a little low. I think there's a little oil in the intercooler, so I'm going to take that apart in today's video, probably too. Really my biggest concern is having that center cartridge fail on this turbo, is there potentially could have been, you know, a bunch of fine metal shavings drop out of that center cartridge down through the oil drain, return back into the oil pan, and it could have been circulated through the engine. So that's what we're really concerned about. Speaking with Doug at Up Garage, I really don't want to have to pull the motor and rebuild it if we have to. So I think what we're going to try to do is put on, they got like an oil filter that they recommend at UP Garage. It's basically designed for this type of stuff, or if you have any fine metal shavings, it'll clean all that out. I want to maybe try to figure out a way to have some type of filtration for the oil feed line that goes into the turbo that feeds it up front here. Motive Video, they've got AN fitting lines with oil filter, basically just catch metal fragments to save your turbos. So if I can try to figure out a way to do that, or if you guys watch this video and you know of a set of lines that can do that with running stock style twin setup, please let me know, because I'd like to figure that out, because I don't want to have to deal with this again. And originally I was thinking these Tomei manifolds were such a pain in the ass to install that I wanted to get rid of them and go back to Nismo N1, just because the bolts and everything and access to get to everything is so much easier. You don't have to disassemble the turbo and clock it to get everything mounted up. It's just going to save me like half the amount of effort to do the install and reinstallation. It's a little frustrating. I was very upset the other day when I came home and this had happened. I figured I'd blow the engine before the turbos would actually give out. So there's obviously underlining reason to why it happened. Either that or it could just be a faulty turbo, which is pretty unlikely. I mean, I installed these 6 months ago, and I was trying to figure out how many miles I put on. I probably put like 2,000 miles on the car since the build. So yeah, we'll send them out to Spectrum once I get them removed, and Chris can tell me what's up with them up there. I also do have a magnetic oil drain plug in the oil pan, so hopefully there's nothing on any of that. That's what I'm hoping for. So let's get underneath. GTR is up on ramps. Kind of sucks working in a tight garage with not a lot of space. Hood's up and off the engine so I have room to get to everything. And I really wish if I had a lift or a house that was a little bit bigger, or just a bigger garage with a lift, man, this would really help me out. So you guys subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, share the video. Let's get the YouTube channel growing so I can do bigger, better projects with more revenue coming in besides just my income from my job. If you guys want to help me out, I'd appreciate it. But so we're going to come underneath here. We're going to have to remove the under tray to drain the coolant out of the radiator. But the oil is clean. I mean, you guys can see it's kind of like a still kind of a golden brown. I mean, it's not really dirty. It has like 200 miles on it, if even that. I drove from my house to Bremerton, which is like 65 miles and back. And then I tested the brakes for like maybe 30 miles. And then after the turbo blew, I drove about probably 4 or 5 miles home. So pretty fresh oil. Well, the paper towel filter's too slow, so I'm just going to go ahead and drain it and inspect the plug. Which the plug does, I am seeing metal shavings basically. Kind of looks like right there, so that's not looking good. But yeah, guys, looking at this magnetic oil drain pan, I mean, it does not look good. I'm not sure how well the filter is stuff that goes back out of the pan and into the engine. But if I have that much fine metal shavings from the turbo blowing up, I mean, the engine's got to just be plagued with that stuff in that pan. So I've never had to rebuild an engine, but I would think if there's that much fine metal shavings in there, I'm basically just, if I put the new turbos back in and deal with that, I'm dealing with, you know, the turbo's going to have the same issue in the future with all that shit in there, and probably bearing failure inside the engine and stuff like that on either the head or the crank or whatever. So I'm not sure what to do. I'm gonna have to ask up garage on this. But yeah, it's not I don't think it's looking very good. Freaking stress is like through the roof right now. This isn't fun, so it sucks. It's expensive. I definitely don't have the money to rebuild the engine right now, so I can afford to fix the turbos and put the car back together myself. But if I need an engine rebuild, the car is going to be sitting for probably a year, which really sucks. So kind of makes it hard to make content if you don't have a car for the channel. So anyway, guys, I think I'm going to just work by myself today out here, and then I'll catch back up with you guys tomorrow because I'm kind of pissed off. I don't feel like filming, so stay tuned. I'm going to pull out the oil filter. I've already cracked this thing loose. But yeah, getting the oil filter out of here is always easy. Not. But I want to cut this thing open, and I want to get a good look in the inside and see how much metal fragments is in it. I can already see metal fragments on my fingers just from sticking it inside there, so that's not good. And that is draining right now, so it's dripping from the under part of the car, which is always a pain in the ass and makes a huge mess. In the under tray off here, I'm seeing a lot of like signs of dried coolant and stuff, and it looks to me, if you guys look really close right here, I think that this is leaking right here. You can see like buildup of dry coolant around here, and I could smell a really light, like just a little tinge of coolant. So I thought I've had a coolant leak all along. I think I found it because I don't see any other signs of anything anywhere else. So I'm going to replace this hose clamp with a different type instead of the spring design. Put a breeze hose clamp on the bottom to match. Seems like it works better. So I got my drain pan here, and I think this is the easiest way to drain the coolant out of the system. It's just to pop off the lower radiator hose rather than trying to deal with the drain plug. Because it's so small, it's just a pain in the ass to try to remove the coolant without spilling it everywhere. Just got a drop of it in my mouth though. At the top part of the turbo is basically disassembled. You can see there's a bunch of even like fine metal shavings from the turbo, the compressor housing. Here's a good look at the shaft play. But that's been rubbing on the compressor housing. That was the grinding sound we were hearing. You guys can see. Look at that. Really sad. It sucks. All that metal went back into the engine, which is real shitty. I'm gonna get a little better look at it for you guys here, so you can see what it looks like. That's what a blown turbo looks like when the CHRA pops. So yeah, that thing is just, fuck man, it sucks. So hopefully the housing can be saved. Not sure what that's gonna have to be replaced. Actually, what I'm waiting on, it's called a Canton Racing Products Billet aluminum spin-on oil filter. So this type of oil filter is going to allow me to basically plug off the stock bypass for the oil. That way nothing can get past the oil filter. Everything will 100% go through this filter, and it will catch all the contaminants and fine metal shavings and extract them out of the oil, rather than letting them circulate back in through the head and through the rest of the engine and into the turbos and destroying the turbos again. So I'm going to go inside and order this right now. And then we'll be back to the video here probably the next couple days. I'll see you guys then. It's kind of fun disassembling something that I put together just a few months ago. It's really not too challenging. It's all still really fresh in my mind. It's only been 6 months. And I didn't see any leaks or anything from anywhere, so that's really good to see everything's holding up like it should. So I'm about 5 hours of labor in, downpipes off, cats off. I even took the front compressor inlet pipe and rear compressor inlet pipe off, just to give me enough space so I can actually pull the front turbo off and manipulate it around the rear turbo. That's going to allow me to get underneath to this last exhaust bolt that needs to come, or last exhaust nut that I need to get off the manifold. But yeah, I'll pull you guys, bring you guys underneath real quick. I've got the turbo brackets off and all the water lines, everything disconnected. So basically all I have to do now is disconnect these oil and water feed inlets to the turbos, and then just pull them right off and up and out. Get the best shot I can for you guys. So everything's disconnected. Basically just the bolts and stuff that hold the water lines on to the turbo brackets had to be disconnected, and then the turbo brackets themselves. And so when I pull the turbo up and out, that oil line, drain line that goes into the oil pan, this will just slip right off. I've already loosened it. So I'll just pop right off and come out real easily. There's the rear turbo bracket. Actually, no, that's the front turbo bracket and the rear turbo bracket. So those are pretty simple to get off. But I tell you, this time taking everything apart, it's got to be at least three times faster, 4 times faster than the first time. I had no idea what I was doing, and at least it was kind of nice. And as much as I'd like to sit here and record and show you guys this whole process, I've already done that. So it's just really kind of nice and relaxing for me to just sit out here and work without trying to film, because I can get shit done a lot faster. And I was just drinking beer the first day while I was, turning a wrench. It was a good time, and listening to music. What you guys saw if you follow me on Instagram, I was out here singing and having fun working on my car, and just trying to be in a good mood about everything. What I do back to you. With what's going on, this definitely isn't a fun thing to experience and have happen to your beloved car. If you guys have had this type of shit happen to you, you know how it feels. It's stressful, it sucks, it's frustrating, and it's going to cost a lot of money, and that's how it goes. All right, let's take a look at the rear turbo. Okay, so here's a peek at the rear turbo. So I've got the oil drain line disconnected, all the water feed lines are disconnected, and the turbo bracket's disconnected. So as soon as this oil water line comes off, it just pulls right up and out. Try to get you guys a little bit better look. So it's actually pretty accessible. As far as my space, you can see I'm basically working like chest to cross member, so I don't have a lot of space down here. But we got it done. So this is the oil level. You can see I just put everything from the pan back into the jug, and it's basically I mean, there was no shortage on oil. Still about 4.8 to 4.9 to 5 quarts in there. You can see in the bottom of this oil pan, whatever, drain pan, there's metal fragments everywhere. So the last thing I want to do, I've got the oil filter draining. I want to cut that open and just look inside and see how much metal's actually in it. Spending the extra time to remove this front compressor elbow inlet, like I was saying, allowed me access to get my 12 mil wrench underneath this area. So I was basically working right underneath the manifold here. I could easily reach everything with having that front turbo there. That saved me a lot of time for the removal. So when I reinstall these, if I can find a set of N1 Nismo manifolds, I'm definitely going to use those. But if I'm stuck with the Tomei, I'm going to do the install in the same removal process. It's way easier than the way I did it the first time. It was really pissing me off. So this wasn't too bad. So let's go ahead and pull that last turbo out. Alright guys, so turbos are out, as you can see. My buddy Gary was over visiting me, one of my neighbors. He's like 72. He's got a, not the Fast and Furious Eclipse GXX, but he's got the older GSX that's, I don't know, like early 90s. It's fully built with all forged internals and a dog box transmission. So he wanted to come over and just see what I was up to, but as you guys can see, the turbos are out. They are over here. I've got one fully disassembled, so the manifolds are off, the elbows are off, oil water lines are off, and this is the rear turbo, so this one was fine. I'm gonna send it back to have it inspected. And of course, what you guys have probably been wanting to see is the front turbo. So let's get a little bit of a look at it here. So you guys can see the turbine housing has some marring and stuff on it from the compressor wheel touching it, and shaft play. I mean, there's a lot of movement in there. So really sad, really sucks. There was like fine metal dust all over the inside of this when I pulled it out, so all that went back in through the intercooler. So I need to take all that stuff apart and clean it all out as well. And I think I'm gonna finish up today's video right here. This is kind of already a long video. I wanted to cut open the oil filter. I don't think I'm going to get around to that on this video today. Maybe I'll do that next time. I want to just keep creating content so I can kind of keep you guys up to date with where I'm at on the channel. I wanted to throw this into today's video too. So this is the back side of the turbine here. So lots of play, wiggling everywhere. And let's take a look at the front, which we've already seen. So yeah, just that center cartridge is blown all the way through. This is how it should be, and this one's perfect. No shaft play at all. It's perfect. So the housings look good on each one, and I'm gonna wipe these down, get them sent off. What I'm concerned about is the main bearings in the inside of the engine having any type of engine failure with all that oil in there, or with that metal shavings in the system. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all the original oil water lines from the block. I saw these lines with braided lines with an inline filter from Turbo Smart. That way, if any metal fragments go through the oil feed lines, at least they won't make it to the turbo, causing bearing failure in there again. I'm going to get a metal oil filter and block off the bypass to the oil. That way it all is filtered through the metal filter, and hopefully that should catch everything. And then I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that the engine holds together, even if it's only for a few years, because I can't afford to do the right thing, which is to pull the engine and you know, fully clean everything and go through it all. I just don't have the money, so I think this would be an easy way for me to continue driving the car and hopefully try to troubleshoot some stuff along the way. So anyway guys, hope you guys liked the video. If you did, thumbs up. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know if you guys have dealt with this. What did you guys do to fix your car? I would love to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Channel's at like 2,500. Thank you so much, everybody. Let's keep the momentum going, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye.